Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Boss Economics World, the only place on the internet where we dissect economic disasters, roast government mismanagement, and call out the suits in charge for driving us all into the ditch, while still keeping it classy, of course. I'm your host, the unrelenting voice of economic reason, here to shine a spotlight on the clown show that is London's luxury property market. Buckle up, because today we're diving headfirst into a tale of hubris, tax hikes, and half-empty penthouses that would make even the Monopoly man weep. Oh, and don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell, because if the economy's going down in flames, at least we'll have a front row seat. Now, let's set the stage. Picture this, it's 2015, London's housing market is booming like a tech bro's crypto portfolio in 2021, and two Chinese investors swoop in to buy a majority stake in 60 Curzon, dubbed Mayfair's most exclusive address. Fast forward nearly a decade, and what do we have? A ghost town of unsold luxury apartments, a market in freefall, and a government that's managed to tank one of the world's most glamorous property scenes faster than you can say, non-dom tax perk. So, grab your popcorn, folks, because today we're unpacking the economic carnage behind this mess, peeling back the layers from the surface-level chaos to the deep-rooted policy disasters that got us here. And, as always, we'll be serving up the spiciest data, the juiciest examples, and a healthy dose of satire to keep things interesting. Let's dive in. First, let's talk about the bloodbath that is London's prime property market. Prices are down more than 20% from their peak in 2015, according to Savills, and the bleeding shows no signs of stopping. Just this month, June 2025, Sotheby's slashed the price of a Mayfair penthouse from £85 million to £68 million, a cool £17 million haircut. And guess what? It still hasn't sold. This bad boy was originally listed for £100 million, meaning it's now a 32% discount on its former glory. Imagine trying to sell a £100 million penthouse in what was once the world's playground for the ultra-rich, only to watch it sit there collecting dust like a forgotten Beanie Baby collection. Ouch. And it's not just 60 Curzon feeling the heat. Take the Bryanston, a luxury residential tower overlooking Hyde Park. For years after its 54 units hit the market, half of them are still empty. Half. This is prime real estate, folks, not a clearance sale at a dodgy strip mall. But wait, it gets worse. Deals for properties valued at £5 million or more have plummeted 15% in the past year, according to Lonres data from June 2025. That's not a market correction, that's a market on life support. And the cherry on top? Savills is predicting a further 4% drop in prime central London property prices in 2025, while Camilla Dell at Black Brick Property Solutions is calling for an even grimmer 8% to 10% plunge. If that doesn't scream economic dumpster fire, I don't know what does. Now, for the average viewer out there, maybe you're a hardworking professional who's been saving up for a modest flat in Zone 3, this might sound like a distant problem for the champagne and caviar crowd. But hold on, because this isn't just a sob story for billionaires. The luxury property market is a bellwether for the broader economy, a canary in the coal mine of financial stability. When the ultra-wealthy start fleeing and their trophy homes sit empty, it's a sign of deeper systemic rot. And trust me, folks, the rot runs deep. So, how did we get here? Let's zoom out and take a look at the real culprits, the government's ham-fisted policies and a series of self-inflicted wounds that would make even Wile Coyote blush. This whole mess started with a slew of tax hikes targeting luxury real estate and the city's wealthy elite, compounded by Brexit, higher interest rates, and sanctions on Russian oligarchs. But the latest nail in the coffin? The Labour government's decision in 2025 to end a long-standing tax regime that benefited so-called non-domiciled residents, or non-doms. For those of you new to the game, non-doms are ultra-wealthy individuals who live in the UK but claim their domicile is elsewhere, allowing them to avoid paying UK taxes on their overseas income. This perk has long made London a magnet for global billionaires, from Russian oligarchs to Middle Eastern oil tycoons. But in 2025, the Labour government, in a fit of populist posturing, decided to scrap this tax break, sparking a mass exodus of the super-rich. According to a report by Henley and Partners in Q1 2025, the UK is projected to lose 9,500 millionaires this year alone, the highest net outflow of any country globally. Compare that to the UAE, which is expected to gain 6,700 millionaires, and you start to see where the money's going. Dubai's laughing all the way to the bank while London's left holding the bag. And it's not just non-doms bailing out. The government's also mulling over changes to inheritance tax, further spooking the wealthy. The Financial Times reported in June 2025 that policymakers are considering reversing a decision to keep inheritance tax exemptions for non-doms, which could lead to even more departures. Look, I get it, taxing the rich sounds great on paper, especially when you're trying to win votes from the eat the rich crowd. But here's the problem, when you scare off the golden geese, they don't just stop laying eggs, they fly to Monaco, Dubai, or Singapore, taking their wealth, their spending, and their economic contributions with them. According to UBS's 2025 Global Wealth Report, the UK's share of global ultra-high net worth individuals, those with $30 million or more in assets, has dropped from 4.3% in 2020 to 3.8% in 2025. That's billions of pounds in lost economic activity, folks, all because the government thought it could squeeze blood from a stone. But let's not stop there, because the government's economic mismanagement goes way beyond tax tantrums. Remember Brexit? Oh, how could we forget? The UK's vote to leave the EU in 2016 sent shockwaves through the economy, raising questions about London's status as a global financial hub. And while some of the doomsday predictions, like the idea that the City of London would turn into a ghost town, haven't fully materialized, the damage to the luxury property market has been undeniable. Knight Frank Sales Index, which tracks the city's top properties, peaked in August 2015 and is down 19% since then. Coincidence? I think not. Brexit didn't just dent confidence, it also made London less attractive to international buyers, who once dominated the high-end market. A crackdown on money laundering and unexplained wealth, combined with sanctions on Russian oligarchs, has further thinned the ranks of deep-pocketed investors. Take Andrei Guryev, the Russian billionaire and founder of fertilizer giant Fosagro. He's the proud owner of Whittenhurst, London's largest private home, valued at £300 million in 2015. But thanks to sanctions, his assets are frozen, and his ability to splash cash in the UK is kaput. Multiply that by dozens of other oligarchs, and you've got a recipe for a market meltdown. And let's not forget the Bank of England's role in this fiasco. Higher interest rates, introduced to combat inflation, have made borrowing more expensive, putting additional pressure on property prices. According to the Office for National Statistics, ONS, the UK's average mortgage rate hit 5.8% in June 2025, up from 2.3% in June 2021. For a £5 million property with a 70% loan-to-value mortgage, that's an extra £112,000 a year in interest payments. No wonder buyers are sitting on their hands. Now, you might be thinking, hey, maybe this is just a global trend, luxury property markets are tanking everywhere, right? Well, yes and no. Savills predicted earlier this year that at least half a dozen major cities would see price drops in 2025, but London's decline is particularly acute. Compare it to New York, where prime property prices are down just 10% from their peak, or Dubai, where luxury home prices have surged 15% year-on-year, according to Knight Frank's 2025 Prime Global Cities Index. London isn't just losing ground, it's getting left in the dust. Why? Because other cities are rolling out the red carpet for the ultra-wealthy while London's busy rolling out new tax forms. Take Singapore, for example. In 2024, it introduced a global investor program that offers residency to high net worth individuals who invest at least SGD 10 million in the country. The result? A 20% increase in luxury home sales in Q1 2025, per Colliers International. Meanwhile, London's government is too busy virtue signaling to notice the economic hemorrhage happening right under its nose. Now, for my finance professionals in the audience, you're probably already crunching the numbers on what this means for your portfolios. But for everyone else, let's talk about why this matters to the average Joe or Jane. When the luxury property market collapses, it doesn't just hurt billionaires, it drags down the entire economy. Construction jobs dry up, real estate agents go broke, and the trickle-down spending from the ultra-rich, think private chefs, chauffeurs, and interior designers, disappears. According to the ONS, the UK's construction sector shrank by 2.3% in Q1 2025, with luxury residential projects bearing the brunt of the downturn. And here's the kicker, this isn't just a London problem. The government's obsession with taxing the rich is starting to scare off investment across the board. Foreign direct investment, FDI, into the UK fell by 12% in 2024, according to UNCTAD, while countries like Ireland and the Netherlands saw increases of 8% and 10%, respectively. If this trend continues, we're not just looking at a luxury property crisis, we're looking at a full-blown economic recession. So, congratulations, dear government, you've taken one of the world's most vibrant property markets and turned it into a cautionary tale. I can just picture the cabinet meeting now, hey, let's hike taxes on the rich, scrap non-dom perks, and watch the economy implode, sounds like a winning strategy. Meanwhile, the ultra-wealthy are sipping martinis in Monaco, and London's left with a bunch of empty penthouses and a big fat, for sale, sign on its global reputation. Here's my advice to the powers that be, stop treating the wealthy like a piggy bank to smash open every time you need a few extra quid for the NHS. Start treating them like the economic engines they are. Roll back the non-dom tax changes, ease up on inheritance tax, and for the love of all that is holy, stop making London a punching bag for populist policies. Because if you don't, the only thing prime about central London will be the prime rib at the few restaurants still in business. And there you have it, folks, another episode of Boss Economics World, where we call it like we see it and hold the government's feet to the fire. If you enjoyed this deep dive into London's luxury property meltdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends, your colleagues, and anyone else who needs a wake-up call about the state of the economy. Drop a comment below. Do you think the government's to blame, or is this just the market doing its thing? And as always, stay sharp, stay skeptical, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.